So what if I told you that you could do everything right? You save $1 million, you invest it wisely, you plan your withdrawals perfectly, and you could still end up completely broke. Well, it turns out the single biggest threat to your retirement probably isn't what you think. It's not how much you saved, it's when you happen to retire. And believe me, most of the financial calculators out there, they completely ignore this hidden trap.
Okay, let's just dive right into this with a story. We're going to follow two people, Sarah and Mike. Now, both of them are super diligent savers, they're smart investors, and they're about to step into what they think is going to be a nice, secure retirement.
On paper, their situations look identical. I mean, literally a mirror image. They both start with a cool $1 million. They both plan to withdraw the same 40 grand a year to live on. And get this, they're even invested in the exact same funds, which over the next 2 decades earn the exact same average annual return of 7%. I mean, logically, their outcomes have to be the same, right?
Well, you'd think so. But fast forward 15 years, and this is Mike's account balance. A big, fat zero. He's broke. Everything is gone.
And this is Sarah's balance at the exact same time. She actually has more money than she started with and is living better than ever.
So, this is the $1 million question, isn't it? If every single variable was the same, the savings, the spending, even the average return, what on earth happened? What was this invisible force that completely blew up one retirement while the other one just soared?
Well, the answer is a concept that you almost never hear about in Personal Finance 101, but it is, without a doubt, the most dangerous trap for new retirees. It's called sequence of returns risk.
Okay, let's break that down. In simple terms, it just means that the order in which you get your investment returns matters way more than the long-term average. Getting hit with bad returns in your first couple of years of retirement, right when you start taking money out, can be an absolute catastrophe.
And here it is. This is the devastating difference. You see, they had the exact same returns over the long run, just in a totally reversed order. Mike had the unbelievably bad luck of retiring right into a market downturn.
So think about it. Mike's portfolio was already shrinking because of the market losses. But then, to get his $40,000 to live on, he had to sell his investments while they were down. He was forced to sell low, which locked in those losses forever and created this death spiral that his portfolio could just never recover from.
Sarah, on the other hand, well, she just got lucky. Her portfolio grew big in those first few years, which created this huge financial cushion. So when the exact same market downturns that crushed Mike eventually hit her, she was taking money from a much bigger pot. It barely even made a dent.
And this is why that idea of an average return is so dangerous. You know that simple retirement calculator you plugged your numbers into? The one that assumes a nice, smooth 7% return every single year? It's based on a completely false assumption. It's a fantasy that ignores this very real risk.
You see, the rules of investing completely flip on the day you retire. While you're working and saving, a market crash is awesome. It's a fire sale. You get to buy more for less. But the second you stop adding money and start taking it out, that same market crash becomes your absolute worst enemy.
Okay, so if this risk is so dangerous, how do we deal with it? First, we have to understand that there's a period of maximum danger that every single person faces when they first retire. So the risk isn't spread out over your whole 30-year retirement. No, it's hyper-concentrated in the first 5 to 10 years. Experts call this period the red zone. And honestly, whether your retirement plan succeeds or fails is almost entirely decided by what happens to the market right here, in this window.
So, since none of us can predict the market, how do we survive the red zone? Well, the entire defensive strategy boils down to one simple, incredibly powerful goal. You have to build a plan where you never, ever have to sell your growth investments at a loss during those first 10 years. Period.
You can't control the markets. You can't control bad timing, but you absolutely can build a defensive moat around your portfolio to protect it. So let's walk through a 3-part defense plan designed to do exactly that.
This plan has 3 parts that all work together. You segment your money into different buckets, you make your spending flexible, and you create a temporary income bridge to get you through the early years.
All right, first up is the famous bucket strategy. Instead of thinking about your portfolio as just one big pile of money, you're going to separate it into 3 distinct buckets, and each one has a very specific job to do. Okay, so your first bucket is a cash mode. This is just 3 to 5 years of your living expenses sitting in safe, boring cash. If the market crashes tomorrow, you live off this. No selling stocks.
The second bucket is a bond buffer that holds the next 5 to 7 years of expenses. Together, these two buckets create a 10-year shield for your third and final bucket, the growth engine, which is the rest of your portfolio. You just leave that money alone for a decade to grow.
The second defense is all about making your withdrawals dynamic. This just means you don't blindly pull out the exact same amount of money every single year no matter what. When the market is up and your portfolio is growing, great. You use those gains to refill your cash bucket. But when the market is down, you tighten your belt. Just a little bit. Maybe you cut spending by 5%. You live off your cash and you do not touch your stocks. A tiny spending cut early on can save your entire plan down the road.
And the third, and maybe most powerful defense, is creating a small, flexible income stream for just the first few years of retirement. You know, some part-time consulting, a passion project, anything. Even earning an extra $20,000 a year would have completely saved Mike because it would have massively cut down how much he needed to pull from his shrinking portfolio.
So, the big takeaway from all of this isn't that you need to panic and work 10 more years to save another $1 million. No. The solution is just to understand that this risk exists. It's a known variable, it's a math problem, and it's a problem that can absolutely be solved with the right structure and a little discipline.
So, don't let a simple retirement calculator lull you into a false sense of security. The real question you need to be asking yourself right now is this: my retirement might be planned, but is it actually protected from just a bit of bad timing?